For about 2 days, just walking away from the fire.
In Italy, wildfires forced Palermo Airport to close and claim the lives of 2 people in the north. While fires in Algeria claimed dozens of lives, including 10 soldiers called out to stop the flames spreading. NHS warning: a new report projects more than 9 million people in England will be living with a major illness by 2040. The ethics watchdog tells Sky News it's hard to argue that every MP puts their parliamentary duties ahead of their second jobs. And clashes between Israeli police and protesters after a controversial change in the law. A very good morning to you. Authorities in Greece are warning that the risk of wildfires across almost the entire country remains high. More repatriation flights bringing people back to Britain are expected later today after the first flights landed last night. Airlines continue to face criticism for the speed of their response, though. Meanwhile, fires in Italy have closed a major airport in Sicily this morning. We'll bring you the latest from across Europe. Well, nearly 20,000 people have been evacuated on roads where thousands of Britons are believed to be on holiday. Meanwhile, in Corfu, off the east coast of mainland Greece, sea evacuations are continuing as 2,500 people have already fled the blazes. Our science and technology editor, Tom Clark, is there and sent this report.
On roads, locals have joined the fight against the blazes burning for a week now. They use tree branches, towels, anything at hand to help control the flames. In the village of Massari, it's time to leave. The fire is coming. They quickly try to protect what they have, batten down the hatches with no idea of what will be left when they return. Can't you see the smoke? The fire is coming. It's coming to the village, says Yorgos. Within minutes, he'll join the exodus. This is the third time his village has been evacuated in 3 days. Some have stayed behind to fight the flames.
We cannot go. We will go straight to the fire because if we leave, everything will burn.
Along the coast, flames have also broken through defences. The same places blaze forced people from their hotels at the weekend. At the airport, tired bodies cover the floor. Jack has been trying to leave since Saturday.
You should at least get some representative to speak to you and advise you. We've had no one. We've literally been just left on our own.
He's among hundreds of tourists who are looking for answers, many still sleeping in shelters, waiting to escape. On Corfu, wildfires have marched their way through the island for another night. For tourists arriving, the smell of grilled souvlaki is mixed with that of a forest on fire. For some in villages on steep coasts, the fires risk cutting them off. Now, nearly 2,500 have been evacuated, many by boat from beaches.
The owner of our apartment, Dimitris, he got in touch and said that the fire was out, so we felt pretty relaxed. We were talking to lots of the locals. We went out, spent the day snorkeling, had dinner, but we haven't been able to get back up to the apartment because this is the main road going up into the hills where the fire is.
It looks really close to our villa. It's sort of feeling nervous, but sort of not.
Officials here on Corfu say it's arsonists that started these fires in the hills behind me. But they couldn't have caused the conditions that allow those fires to take hold and to spread, burn more intensely and extend the season in which wildfires can happen.
On average, the world has warmed just over 1 degree. But now Greece experiences nearly 3 times as many days above 30 Celsius as it did in the 1950s. Averages mask the danger that exists at our climate's extremes, and there's only more to come.
Tom's with us now live from Corfu. And Tom, how rare is it to see a second European summer heatwave to this extent? Of course, we all remember what happened last summer. And could things have been done, given that warning I guess we got a year ago, to lower the risks of wildfires, or will it just become incrementally more likely as time goes past and these temperatures keep returning that wildfires are sort of inevitable?
The risk of extreme heat, which provides the conditions for wildfires to take hold, that is almost certainly, and we have new evidence today from a big international study into this summer's heat waves in Europe and North America, those heat wave conditions are made more likely. It's almost impossible. They could not have, almost impossible they could have occurred without human-induced climate change. So the presence of these heat waves is directly linked to climate. The likelihood of another one following shortly after another one is yes, due to that. Wildfires, whether they'll occur, that's a more complicated question because that depends on where that heat gets distributed. It also has a lot to do with the vegetation and the way that that vegetation is managed. Wildfires are interesting to us right now because they are symptomatic of our changing climate, but they are not necessarily directly caused by it. Look here in Corfu, not a particularly highly forested area. They still had a very severe burn through here last night. The wind's picking up now, so we're actually seeing more smoke coming. I think some of those fire fronts are going to reactivate today. But contrast that with roads, much more forested, much more intense fires, and consequently much more disruption as well. And that does raise questions about how we manage environment for fire, and given that clear signal we're getting from scientists about the impact of climate, we might need to revisit those plans and rethink how we're going to adapt to this much greater likelihood of extreme heat waves into the future.
And Tom, just on that note, I mean, are there lessons to be learned from other places? I mean, it's not like the United States, for example, has been hugely successful at putting out every wildfire. We've had all sorts of stories from there, of course, but I think they've got a greater recent history of having to fight them. Is continental Europe kind of behind the curve in terms of the preparation, the tactics then deployed when wildfires spike up, or is this something that already globally all the best practices are shared and just sometimes it's impossible to fight these fires away?
I mean, occasional wildfires are normal for the Mediterranean in summer, southern Europe. Yeah, this is something that firefighters here are experienced to do with. They know how to manage them. I think what we're seeing here is the extremes are just being pushed out, and they're probably happening faster than we might have been able to predict. It's more our ability to adapt to that new environment. Whether lessons can be learned, whether you can revise practices, yes, possibly Australia, which is more prone to droughts, they've perhaps got a bit more expertise, certainly in how you manage fire around property, around buildings, keeping scrub down, managing road verges because they act as very powerful fire breaks. Yes, there's lessons that can be learned and probably will be learned very quickly if indeed, as this new report finds, within 30 years, heat waves as intense as we've had in Europe could be happening every 2 to 5 years. So inevitably a radical adjustment of how we manage, but we're also dealing with unprecedented times. And look at the forest fires in North America, in Canada at the moment. That's in wild forest. There is nothing that anyone can ever economically do to try and control that. That is just a climate related issue, and one that we must take notice of, and just as a reminder to us that we not just have to adapt, we also need to work pretty hard and accelerate that work in reducing emissions if we don't want the situation to get worse and worse in terms of unprecedented heat, also the storminess we're seeing across Europe with thunderstorms at the moment too.
Tom Clark, thanks so much for that. And Tom, as you know, was joining us there live from Corfu. Meanwhile, hundreds of Brits have been rescued from roads, with many telling of traumatic and miserable experiences. Looking at the wider picture on flights to the island, Jet2's cancelled all flights and holidays due to depart 2 roads, up to and including Sunday the 30th of July, had 4 repatriation flights scheduled for last night. TUI has also suspended flights to roads up to and including Friday the 28th of July. It's also cancelled holidays for those travelling to impacted hotels up until Sunday. British Airways is operating flights as normal, but says anyone who's travelled to Rhodes or Corfu can change their flights to return home early, free of charge. Both EasyJet and Ryanair say they are operating flights to Rhodes as usual. Well, airlines have faced some criticism for flying passengers out to Rhodes, specifically on Saturday, which resulted in some going straight from the airport to evacuation centres. But speaking to Sky News, the Levelling Up Secretary Michael Gove defended the response of operators running repatriation flights back to the UK.
I think it's absolutely right that individuals should be able to go to Greece to enjoy their holidays. It's a tragedy that these fires have ruined what should be the happiest and most enjoyable time of the year for many. But it is also the case that I think that the criticism directed at individual firms isn't necessarily merited.
Well, tourists arriving home at Birmingham City Airport have spoken to Sky about their experiences.
It was get to the beach. At that point, when you was on the beach, you just had to dump your luggage because you couldn't drag it across the sand. So, yeah, and as you look behind you, it was just coming over, you know, the mountains type thing. The fire was just moving so fast.
The fire was just behind our hotel, so we had to leave all of our luggage, passports and everything in the room. And then we were walking for 2 hours to get away from the fire and the smoke.
I saw everyone crying and it made me quite scared. And there was like lots of smoke and it kept on getting in people's chests.
We got evacuated to a school and we slept on the floor. My daughter's got a photograph and we just slept on the floor. If it wasn't for the Greek people, we would have had nothing. And we've not had our holiday, which is, you know, we'll get over that. But the people over there, they've got nothing.
We get into roads, we see the flames as we're going through, and we're going, oh my God, that is awful. We got put then on a coach to an evacuation camp. We slept on a mattress on the street because the buildings were that hot and there was 30 people to a room.
Discuss, of course, some of the airlines and tour operators' response. Let's talk a bit about the government's response. Our political correspondent, Tamara Cohen, joins me now live in Westminster. And Tamara, in fact, the two are linked, of course, because precisely what airlines do does depend on what the Foreign Office advice is, and some would have liked to have seen that official advice change.
Yes, there have been some calls on the government to change their travel advice to roads to take account of the wildfires, including the consumer group which have talked about this. But talking to people in the travel industry, they point out that although it is the case that for package tours it might be better if the travel advice changed so that people could be rebooked and don't face having to go on the plane and make the situation worse, they say you have to factor in that these wildfires are not happening across all of roads. They're happening in one part of it, so there are other places on the island which are safe, and that they worry that any travel advice might take too much of a blanket approach, as we saw one figure in the travel industry told me during COVID, where whole countries were kind of put on the red list when actually only parts of them were affected. Also pointed out that the Greek authorities issued evacuation notices to some places, then rescinded them and issued them elsewhere, so the situation is very rapidly changing. Downing Street told us yesterday that they didn't want to take an approach that was out of proportion to the situation, although they are monitoring it all the time. It's also been pointed out to me that while that might help people who've booked package tours, the flights can still go because, of course, people can still get flights to places against the Foreign Office's advice if they want to.
Tamara, it's interesting timing, of course. I mean, clearly there's a lot of detail and nuance to what's causing these temperatures and these fires. That said, it comes over a couple of days here after the back of the by-election results, and specifically the one in Uxbridge and South Ruislip, where both sides of the political aisle are making noises, at least, about relaxing some of their green policies. What's the latest from Labour's London Mayor Sadiq Khan, and also some noises from Rishi Sunak on that note as well?
That's right. I've been asking politicians about how they respond to these shocking scenes we're seeing in roads versus what sounds like a debate about whether to continue with net zero policies back in drizzly United Kingdom. And Rishi Sunak yesterday, when asked about net zero policies, took the line that we should do them, but in a way that's proportionate, that doesn't unduly burden households. Now, some took that to mean that things like the plan to scrap the sales of all new petrol and diesel cars, which is now coming in 2030, might be relaxed. Perhaps some of the rules about new boilers and home insulation measures might also be kicked back. Today, Michael Gove, the Levelling Up Secretary, insisted that in terms of petrol and diesel cars, that's still happening. Of course, that's an important signal for the electric vehicle and the car industry to know that that's still happening. So he insisted that it would be, but yesterday Downing Street actually did also say that it might be kept under review due to how the technology is evolving. So I think there is a feeling among many Conservatives who didn't like some of these net zero measures anyway, that perhaps this is the time to drop them if they're going to be seen as expensive and unpopular, although within the Conservative Party there are those who also say no, we must continue with this agenda, and the public wouldn't like to see us turn our our backs on it. So I think we're seeing tribes in the Tory party competing to influence Rishi Sunak on that subject. The Labour Party say they are still committed to what they've set out, which is net zero by 2030 and to take some tough measures. But they are certainly looking again at one particular scheme, which is the Clean Air ULEZ, Ultra Low Emission Zone scheme in London. They are now talking about not getting rid of it, but mitigating it in some way.
Tamara, thanks so much for that. Tamara Cohen for us live in Westminster. Now, we've touched on Greece, but also wildfires have forced the closure of Palermo Airport in Sicily, in Italy. A heatwave has battered the region with severe storms causing damage and at least 2 deaths in the north of the country. The blaze reached the edge of the airport, forcing authorities to halt all air traffic as video showed soaring flames near the airport perimeter. Well, wildfires across Algeria have killed 25 people, including 10 soldiers who are attempting to battle the flames. And at least 1,500 people have been evacuated, according to the country's interior ministry. The wildfires were spread by strong winds and moved through forests and agricultural areas, causing 97 individual blazes. More than 7,000 firefighters have been involved in operations to quell the fires, with 350 trucks on the ground and air support as well. At least 37 people were killed last year when wildfires blazed on Algeria's northern border with Tunisia. Well, so to come here on Sky News today with Wilfred Frost. Unilever, the company behind some of the world's best-known brands, sees its profits soar. We'll be getting reaction from Ian King in the City. A special Sky News investigation examines MPs' second jobs and just how much time they're spending on them. You can see that full report at about 10:30. And football fortunes, will discuss the extraordinary bid for French striker Kylian Mbappe by the Saudi team Al Hilal, and just how much money the Saudi regime is pouring into the sport. But first, a new report has warned that 1 in 5 people in England could be living with a major illness by 2040. The study from the Health Foundation suggests that 9.1 million people in England will be living with a major illness by 2040. That's 2.5 million more people than in 2019. The new research says the increase of 37% is mainly due to obesity and an ageing population. Well, Sky correspondent Milena Veselinovic joins me now. Milena, I'm interested on this particular report and the extent to which it's assessing the change in the extent to which individuals are getting these illnesses, or the change in the ability for the NHS to treat them, versus the broad themes of an ageing population, which is just very much part of our demographics at the moment.
Well, one of the most challenging things that this report raises is that the aging population with many more complex needs will rise exponentially more than the working age population. You said there that the report expects people to need many more things to be able to live their lives later on in life, and that rise in people having multiple illnesses is expected to be 37% from 2019 to 2040. Now, if you compare the rise in the working age population during that same time, the report authors say that will be just 4%. And those are really the taxpayers that the government will look to fund things like the NHS and things like social care. And that is where the crux of the problem really lies in the future. And the report authors say that there will be, in their view, an increase in certain serious illnesses. I'm going to run you through just some of them. They predict that heart failure can rise by 92%, diabetes by 49%, dementia 45%, and cancer by 31%. I think it's also quite important to mention that these aren't exactly forecasts. These are just projections based on a scenario, and they're there to inform policymakers how to prepare for the future. But take a listen to what someone from the Health Foundation had to say about this.
We're going to need more capacity in the NHS to respond to more people with major illness. But it also means that we're going to need to change the way we provide care, because what we see with these projections are that many more people are going to be living with multiple health conditions for a long time.
Now, the majority of this is due to our aging population, but some of it also due to obesity. And scientists say the obesity rates in the adult population nearly doubled in the last 30 years. And even though this report looked entirely at adult health, they say the problem is also quite acute in children when it comes to obesity. Now, the government says they are aware of this and they're working to prevent the worst outcomes. I'm going to read you some of the statement from the Department of Health responding to this report. The spokesman says, "We're ensuring the NHS is fit for both the challenges of today and for the future, and we have committed an extra 39 billion in the last year to recover from COVID, cut waiting lists and put health and care services on a sustainable footing. Our forthcoming major condition strategy will also outline how best to prevent, diagnose and manage 6 key conditions such as cancer and cardiovascular diseases that drive ill health and early death in England." Now, we are living longer, and as we do, we have many more complex needs, and in the future, services like the NHS, services like social care will be under more pressure to provide for that aging population. But what the report authors say now is they want to provide the tools for policymakers in order to be prepared for that, and so they can manage those pressures in the future.
Milena, thanks so much. Protesters have clashed with police in Israel over judicial changes passed by the government yesterday. Critics fear it will threaten the independence of the country's courts. Last night, police in Jerusalem used water cannons to try to disperse protesters after the country's parliament approved legislation which limits the Supreme Court's ability to challenge parliamentary decisions and changes the way judges are selected. Today, Israeli doctors are on a 24-hour strike, and a number of newspapers have printed black front pages in protest. Now, a verdict in the trial of 10 men accused of involvement in the triple suicide attack at Brussels airport and the city's metro area claimed by Islamic State in 2016 is due today, bringing to an end the country's largest court case. Joining me now is Sky's Europe correspondent Adam Parsons. And Adam, just remind us, because as said in the intro, there's been some time since this event, of exactly what this court case has all been about.
Well, it's about a couple of attacks back in 2016 that happened here in Brussels and really shocked this city, this country, and much of Europe. Now, this came not that long after the devastating terror attacks in Paris. We're saying that one of the people who was convicted of those Paris attacks, Salah Abdeslam, is also on trial here as the alleged ringleader, along with a man called Mohamed Abrini, who was known at the time as the man in the hat. You might remember a CCTV image from Brussels airport of a man seen in a hat. Well, that is, he's alleged, is Mr. Abrini. Now, what happened that day was 2 very large bombs, suicide bombs being exploded at Brussels airport, and then just over an hour later, another bomb going off at the Malbec metro station, which is in the European quarter of the city. Now, there are 10 people who've been prosecuted in relation to this. The jury's been out for 18 days now, but this really has been a set-piece trial. It was delayed, actually, because the authorities here in Brussels were trying to find the right location with the right security to stage this trial. It ended up being used at the former NATO headquarters building. Started just over 7 months ago, and has been held clearly in conditions of very high security every day. The allegation is that Abdeslam, Abrini and other members of a terrorist cell had regrouped after those Paris attacks and were actually planning further attacks in France to coincide with the football championships there. But then Abdeslam was captured by the police. He was, of course, been on the run, been pursued ever since the terrible attacks in Paris. And that when he was captured, that terrorist cell effectively decided to fast forward its plans, felt that they were likely to be captured soon, and then so instead of attacking France, that they decided to very quickly go into action here in Brussels. that 3 people went to the airport. 2 of them killed themselves as their bombs went off. That Abrini, he said in court that he had a pang of conscience when he saw a queue of people, that he then decided not to detonate his bomb. The prosecution asked him, well, in that case, why didn't you try and defuse the others? Why didn't you try and dissuade them? They never got a straight answer to that. Abdussalam says that he and other defendants have been effectively mistreated during the course of this trial. He says that he doesn't really think that he's made any mistakes in his life. He is relatively unrepentant. Abrini has said that he is a highly flawed man. There are, of course, others on trial accused of crimes including murder and assisted murder and membership of a terrorist organisation. But the jury here has had to answer 287 questions during the course of their deliberations. We may well get that verdict today.
Adam, thanks so much for that. You're watching Sky News Today with Wilfred Frost. Coming up, the cost of your daily branded products. A grocery giant warns prices could still go up, while the latest as Unilever reports their results. From Ian in the city.
A new way to stay refreshed and hydrated? Look no further than iRange Hydration Drink. iRange is perfect for any situation where you need a little pick-me-up. It's low in calories and has a delicious orange flavor that you will love. So don't wait any longer. Grab a can of iRange today and start enjoying the refreshing. Buy online at irange.co.uk.
And analysis.
Evidence of the crisis.
Podcasts, watching us live.
Take you live to Manchester.
Wherever you get your podcast.
All in one place and all at just the touch of a screen. The Sky News app. Download for free now.
A fair deal. Unilever also warned prices on household products could continue to rise, even though they expect we're past the peak of food price inflation. Well, this spring, prices increased by 9.4% across Unilever's products, like Ben & Jerry's ice cream and Cif cleaning products. And customers are buying less, the volume of sales down slightly by 0.2%. Overall, Unilever reported a 20% increase in its net profits in the first half of the year to £3.4 billion. Well, joining me to discuss this, Ian King. Ian, I guess the critical question perhaps is actually what its profit margins have done and whether they are at egregious levels and increasing levels in light of the cost pressures. And it's just interesting timing, of course, coming after that CMA report into the end retailer, into the grocery supermarket retailers that we got last week.
Well, it depends which part of Unilever's business you're looking at. I mean, this is an absolute juggernaut of a business, and don't forget the majority of its sales are made in outside Europe, but only 20% of Unilever's sales come from Europe, the rest of it comes from Asia and the Americas. And they're also across a number of different categories, and the margins vary quite significantly from category to category. At a group level, they were more or less unchanged. They rose from 17 to 17.1%. But if you look at the individual divisions within Unilever, well, their food operating margin is 18.4%. In ice cream, it's 15%, and it actually fell from 16% during the first half of the year. Beauty and personal care are really where they make a lot of their money. Personal care, the margin is 20%. Beauty is at 18.9%. And bear in mind what I said about the geographic spread of these businesses. It's very interesting if you look at where they have tried to raise prices and where volumes have come off particularly. It's in Europe. European consumers have been far more resistant to Unilever putting up their prices than consumers have been in the Asia Pacific region or in the Americas. Now, that may be because headline inflation and the interest rate trajectory is not as aggressive in some of those territories. But what is also particularly interesting is where they have tried to raise prices in areas like food, they've had pushback from consumers in Europe, and their sales volumes have come off quite substantially. And I think that speaks to the fact that it's much easier in food to trade down to own brand products than it is in things like beauty and personal care. And they actually cite in the statement products such as Sunsilk and Tresemme shampoo. They've done quite well on lines like that. Axe, which is the name for deodorant outside the UK, where of course it's called Lynx. Again, another highlight for them. And again, it's found it much easier to raise prices in categories like that and not get the same pushback from consumers that they have done on food products. Now, the point that you made at the outset is an interesting one, Wilf, because obviously the supermarkets have been under the spotlight for this lately. The Competition and Markets Authority last week said UK supermarkets, there was no evidence of profiteering, and actually their operating margins had come down pretty substantially from 3.2% to 1.8% over the last 12 months. So really that tells you that the supermarkets are really not making significant profits on a lot of what they sell. With Unilever, it's harder for the company to defend that. But as I say, this is an absolute juggernaut of a business. The vast majority of its sales come from outside Europe and are in categories like health and beauty and well-being rather than in food as well. So it's a very, very difficult one to drill down into. I can tell you, by the way, the shares are up some 5%, and that is, I think, on relief that Unilever has been able to cover the majority of its increased costs by pushing up prices without, as I say, suffering a significant drop in volumes. And it's really quite interesting when you look from category to category, the fact that it's doing pretty well in things like beauty and well-being compared with food and nutrition.
Ian, great stuff. Thanks so much for that. And I know the focus tomorrow turns to the banks. Lloyd's kicks off that sector's reporting tomorrow, so no doubt we'll see Ian at the same time tomorrow for that. And of course, more of Ian today at 11:30 as always. Now time for a quick check on the weather.
Warm memories wherever you go.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Check me out. He tells me my energy is making him tired.
Yes!
How do you get the energy to do
I've been told that I have a lot of energy, but my goodness, I think today I have met my match, people. I have met my match, Miss Suzanne. Wow, amazing.
One of the things that's the start of the darkness. The hole of darkness.
So what did that?
Myself and the world in a just. And 2019.
Forget the proverbial boardroom. Join me, Simone Frazier, on the CEO, the program that gives you the driving seat over your life. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. only on Starr Radio.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about Sendwave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Vedasse.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Hi there, this is CJ Buckman, your life coach. And whenever I'm in London, I listen to Star Radio UK right here. But guess what? You can listen to wherever you are.
Body is your ma. Bekutu, show them you got the cocoa set. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Harry Song, aka Mr. Songs. This is the Kingmaker Baba for the girls. We're here. This is Star Radio. Don't go nowhere. UK, London. We they call them London for home. For here, we they call them London. And that's how you know. Just have fun and stay blessed.
All around the world. The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Star Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is
UK.
Starr Radio
UK.
This is Starr Radio
UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio. Starr Radio. Radio for the people, by the people.
All of you makes my heart beat. You make a doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands. The hand that made me who I am. Same God now, yesterday, and forevermore. And that's what makes you great. You are God. You will never change. You remain the same till the end. Till the end. You are God.
This is Starr Radio
UK.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Call you
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you and say welcome to the Tuesday edition of the morning show. Today is the 25th day of July, the year 2023. With the time now 10:45 from the hearts of London. Of course, the Tuesday edition of the morning show. One more can a man ask for? And I'm saying good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki, my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy, and then to Felix all the way in Aberdeen, Kojodi, good morning to you, Mr. Kofi Ali Abdul Yakin, Mr. Malik Dramani Mahama, and to you all wonderful people tuning in this morning to listen to us wherever you are. I say welcome to the program. Jesus. Also, let me say good morning to the one and only Bishop Adeshina, Pastor Mo, good morning to you all. Anthony Adedeji, good morning. Aziz, good morning to you. Olakunle, good morning. Where you are, good morning. Sam Maxwell. And all you wonderful people across the globe, wherever you are listening to us for, especially those of you on the African continent. My goodness, I know it causes you an arm and a leg to actually listen to us or watch us, but you do it assiduously, religiously. And I said, you know what? May God bless you and thank you very much for tuning in once again. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
So once again, welcome on board. For those of you who are tuning for the first time on a Tuesday morning to listen to us, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, and then we will look at the weather forecast, the travel updates, which we will continue to. You Lord, great are you, Lord, great is to be praised. Great are you, Lord, great are you, Lord. So we will continue from dance and then exactement at love for you runs deep. 11 o'clock we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who will be bringing you updates from Nigeria. My heart, you make it. After which we will also take you to other parts of the world to look at all the details of the stories making the rounds there. The lines will be open at 12 o'clock and then at 12:30 we'll bring the curtains down for the end of the program. But remember, this afternoon, once again, BB Clement will be coming your way with BB Means Business. So stay tuned, don't touch the dial. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Welcome on board. The quote for the day says, all life struggles is between the past, present, and the future. All life struggles is between the past, the present, and the future. Lord, great are you, Lord, greatly to be praised. Great are you, Lord, great are. Now moving on straight to the weather front as well. Let me tell you what is happening on the weather front this morning. Well, this afternoon we'll see variable clouds, sunny spells, and scattered light showers. This will tend to ease later in the day, the lengthier sunny spells. Now, this evening we'll start with dry conditions and just a few patches of cloud lingering. Any cloud will gradually dissipate, resulting in dry conditions and clear skies until dawn. Top temperature 21 degrees, the lowest 11 degrees. UV level is going to be moderate. Pollen level is going to be low and pollution low as well. Sunset 21 hours and sunrise for tomorrow morning 05:13 hours. And that brings us to the end of the weather forecast for you today. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a quick break and I'll bring you the travel updates wherever you are. Stay tuned and don't touch the dial.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Okay, so keep your eyes on the roads, and we'll keep you updated. I promise I'll on the Starr Radio travel update that comes your way every weekday from 10:40. So what is your travels like this morning? Let me share that with you. Well, you can see and you can hear, the means of transport flying and they're moving around. But here in London, on the underground, Bakerloo line has got park closure, Elizabeth line severe delays, London Overground has got park closures as well, and London Tramlink park suspension. That aside, all the others, good service there. Now, on the major roads in London, I can tell you shortly, no exceptional delays. They are working in good condition. But moving on straight to the Woolwich Ferry this morning, I can tell you planned closures there as well. At the River Bus, all the others, good service there. Also, the London cable car is running a good service. And that brings us straight to the final segment of the travel update. That is the National Rail. Now, what I'm going to do on the National Rail this morning is to tell you the ones that are having a good service. So, if I don't mention that, that means that they are not running a good service, right? Okay, so Avanti West Coast C2C, Cross Country, Great Northern, Great Anglia Island Line, Northern Rail, ScotRail, Southwestern Railway, Southeastern Transport for Wales, and West Midland trains are all running good service. Now, any name that has not been mentioned means that those lines are not in good service. Might be having several delays, minor delays, and name it, special services there as well. But that's why I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. I hope that you will enjoy your travels today. But as I would say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth. Enjoy your commute for today. But you know what? Continue to keep those eyes on the roads.
It's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Okay, so fire in the mountains. Yes. Okay, let's go to global trotting. Well, 4 Boko Haram members plotting to attack Atiko's house have been arrested, and PMF withdrawal, no going back on policy. That's what the police are saying. I will bring you more about that. A suspended CBN governor Emefiele arrives in court for trial. Nigeria has failed Africa. Poorly implemented policies drive citizens to poverty. That's what Obasanjo is saying. We'll be telling you more about that. And breaking, House of Rep Speaker meets President Tinubu, and details emerge about that meeting that they are having. I'll be bringing you more on those fronts once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki on. But well, how many years after the amalgamation of Nigeria and everything do you think it's worth fighting for with what the former president Olusegun Obasanjo is saying there? What do you think? Okay, so lots more going to be coming your way from there. Wherever you are, don't touch the Starr Radio UK in other parts of the world as well, or on the African continent. Once again, mixed feelings ahead a referendum of a new constitution. Central Africans in Banjul express hopes and concerns about the draft of a new constitution. Undecided voters still have a few days left before that takes place. And sculpture celebrating everyday black people on display in London. That's a good one there. And Libya, Italy flights to resume in September, and the controversial legislation in South Africa sparks debate on black employment advancement. Well. Okay, we'll be talking more about that in a moment. Plane crash kills 9 in Sudan. I think I brought that story your way yesterday, but moving on straight to some other stories there. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. A video has gone viral in Accra, Ghana, where GS takes action in response to the viral video of violence at Adisabel College Service Dedication. The Ghana Education Service has taken immediate action following the emergence of a disturbing video showing an act of violence involving 2 students of Adisabel College, one of Ghana's standing secondary schools there. But I'll be telling you more about all that in a moment. And then Burkina Bay headsman standing trial for robbery. That is in Ho. I mean, it's quite an interesting one. This headman menace, and it's causing lots and lots of problems there. An alleged coup, 5th accused, convicted for contempt over recording proceedings. More going to be coming your way from there. It's all coming your way from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And then hypocrites. What is $1 million US? That's what a question. That's a question that one of what is it? A lawyer, Maurice Ampao, has lambasted critics of Cecilia Dapper, the former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, over the monies amounting to $1 million, 300,000 euros, and 350,000 Ghana cedis allegedly stolen from her private residence. So, what was left there? If this amounts were stolen, I bet they left some of this amount there. But he is lambasted and fighting and castigating the former president for adding his voice to it. But we'll be bringing you more on that front. Now, when is a wrong a wrong? Is it because they say he who goes to equity must go with a clean hand? So if somebody is not doing the right thing, because, well, you know what, I can't say anything because I got some, you know what, with me. So what do you think? But my bishop, good morning to you once again. He says, good morning, Starr Radio UK. It's been a while. Yes, my bishop. Digging deep. I am on a little research. We'll be through in a while. Okay, my bishop. Thank you very much. And Triple at DRS, good morning. Yes, wherever you are, I hope you are all doing very, very well. And we thank God Nigeria has not happened to any one of us. We are still alive. Whatever the situation is, some way, somehow, we'll plan through it, or we go through it. Now, moving on to some other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. The children left injured and starving in Yemen's forgotten war is one of the stories captured by the BBC. July heat near impossible without climate change. Scientists say the heat waves seen in Europe, the US and China in July are no longer unusual. It's no longer a unusual thing. So we're going to be saying that as well. The Paris to bring back swimming is saying after 100 years ban for a century because of filthy water, bathing is to resume in parts of the river because they think that it's now good for you to use. And then Israel restricts Supreme Court powers, sparking fresh protests. Now, is Netanyahu trying to make himself a dictator there? Okay, and Muslim nations condemn Quran burning in Denmark. Some of the stories making the rounds there. Lots more going to be coming your way from here. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I did say, some of the other stories coming from Nigeria as well. Delta Tribunal asks Labour Party rep declare PDP winner. Or sacks Labour Party rep and declares PDP a winner there. Sanwo-Olu should publish names of massacred Lagos NSAS protesters listed for mass burial. Amnesty International is saying, have they got the names of them? I bet they've not even put them out for them to be identified. Okay, as I did say earlier on, Boko Haram suspects have been arrested in plot to attack Atiko's residence, other facilities in Yola. Nigeria loses 2.5 billion yearly to gas flaring. Reps probe Total Mobile and Owando Adova for that So that's more going to be coming your way from there. But it's now Star Radio UK is gone 11 o'clock. Let's take a musical break, and once we come back, get yourself geared up, because it's all going to be happening here on Star Radio UK. I'm going to be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki from our North London studios, where he's going to be bringing us updates from Nigeria. Let's enjoy this tune from Shadrach Mensah, and it says Aye. Okay. Ourselves ready for Yomi to join in. Bishop Adesina says Ukraine's economy thrives 63% in war situation. Nigeria economy is below 42% in government splendor and citizens at peace. I de laugh woto on the way. He will sit upon the throne.
This is Starr Radio UK.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car, at home,
on your smartphone.
You are listening to Starr Radio. Are you ready to turn it up?
are short of words, we only have to say aye. That's like worshiping God, or say thank you, God, or saying oh. But somehow you find a way to express your gratitude. I want to say thank you very much to Shadrach Mensah for leading us this morning to give some praise and glory to the Almighty God who has sustained us. The good book says that I lay down to sleep, I woke up because God sustained me. It's not because of you, but it is because of the favor of God. He says his mercies are new every morning. Great it is faithfulness. And let me say good morning to all of you at the RBS office. I hope you are all doing really good, and I hope, yes, you are enjoying the program this moment. Good morning, Mr. Archie and Mr. Koiki. God will bless you all and bless Starr Radio UK. And may God bless you as you. It causes, I say it all the time, it causes you an arm and leg to listen to us, but you do it religiously, and we are so grateful to you. But now let's take a quick commercial break. Once we come back, we'll be having Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining in to bring you updates from Nigeria, from our North London studios. So stay tuned, don't you go away.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Whilst we wait for Mr. Olayomi Koiki to join in, he's bringing you everything that you need to know from our North London studios, and we know that the kids are at home and therefore they are seeing to the production there. So at times we get it a bit, but just bear with us whilst he gets everything done. But interestingly, I want to touch on this story where the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, has said that Nigeria has failed Africa and through poorly implementation of policies and stuff like that. But we will talk about that once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki on as well. I know that he is on now, but let's try to get him all set. Okay, now Arewa, you giving former President Olusegun Obasanjo yesterday in a damning verdict said Nigeria has failed the African continent in particular and the world in general. Well, somebody said, well, what is he talking about? But let's see whether we can see Yomi. Let's see whether we can see Yomi. Yomi, we can see you. We can't see you. So I don't know what is happening there. Whether your camera is off. Okay, he's going to be calling us back. It's calling us back. Let's try to get that. Okay, yes, he's showing now. We can see him now. So let's. Okay, just bear with us. As I did say, we have got the young ones seeing to the production today, so we might be going through some of that. But just bear with us. While they're at home, we have to make hay, right? Yes. Okay. Okay, just bear with me whilst I get this. Okay. So now we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki now. So let's go straight to him. And let me say good morning to you, Yomi.
Well, very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the globe, and welcome once again to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It is the 25th day of the month, and it is still July, and it is just 4 days from today, exactly a month, or 2 months rather, that the new president will be in power. No minister yet, and yet no cabinet, apart from trying to put things together. But I do very well, and it's good to be back with you again, as we do all say. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and good morning to all those that have joined us on the sister broadcast this morning, and we welcome you once again.
Okay, how are you doing? How are the able producers back there?
Well, as you know, it is the summertime, and that literally means that as much engineer will be with us, behind the scene, making sure that the sound is working, and as well as also we do appreciate the time that we spend, with the loved ones. Very, very unique, very, very important, and I do hope yours are doing very well as well. Likewise, as many of those back home, but back home is always a concern, because this morning I'll be telling you about those that died in a fuel tanker scoop. Children were involved. Pregnant women were involved, and likewise, many more children are now walking to school due to the fuel scarcity in Nigeria.
Wow. Listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you, and this morning we're bringing you updates from Nigeria. And he's in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, but don't you worry, we know where you are, and we're going to make sure that you get everything that you need to do. But Sonolo is in the background, so let's go straight to him. Now, yesterday, information came through that, well, there's going to be a mass burial for how many? 103 people, bodies, call it, and it was going to cost 61 million naira. Now, people are calling, saying that, well, if it's a mass burial, why should it cost that much? Are they going to, actually give anything to families, friends, and loved ones? That we know that the state government has come out to say that those people who died there were not from the Lekki toll gate itself, or not from Lekki area. So we know that's a different debate for another day. But the question is, can they actually identify them? Because if they've not actually come out to say, look, this person is there, unless of course people had IDs on them for them to be identified. Yomi.
Well, you're quite right. When it comes to identification, the first thing in any crime is to be able to identify who has perpetrated the crime and who have died. Let me give you an example. Even in the midst of accident that we've seen, whether people died without any kind of identification, the technology is there now that can easily tell us who have died. But that doesn't seem to be the problem in Nigeria, because we've seen as many Nigerians have died either through car accident or through other area. But it seems that the Amnesty International is now concerned, and they are now asking the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, to publish the names of those that have been affected, those that are going to be in this burial, so that family could identify whether or not these are those that were affected during the NSAS saga. Though the government have actually said that it seems that maybe Nigerians are not getting it, or Lagosians. These are people that we picked up from the streets during the Lekki tollgate massacre, and that literally means that maybe the state government does not have. I'm not speaking on behalf of the state government, but I am hoping that maybe that will be their argument, that we cannot find the names of people that we picked up, and they kept them in the mortuary. Why they've kept them for that long is a different thing entirely. But what I can say is that it is appealing that the Lagos state government of Babajide Sanwo-Olu has not mentioned that it has held the bodies of 103 people during the NSAS victims in its custody. We will expect that all this should have been revealed in the due course of when they all massacre, I mean, the whole incident was happening. Remember that there was also a lot of, inquiries, and I'm not sure that, the government of Lagos State told us that they were keeping 103 people. Maybe the government thought that this leaked memo was never going to come out, and it would have been a mass burial with about 62 million naira. Responding to the leaked government memo that was dated the 19th of July 2023, which was actually addressed to the State Ministry of Health and indicated that the Lagos State government has literally approved 61 million, not 62, for the mass burial of 103 persons identified as victims of the #EndSARS protest that took place in 2020, just as so many other massacres has happened in the past. Should we say that even if the government of the Buhari himself has made the assassination attempt as something that may not have been our presentation today, maybe it would have been a case of where is the dead body of Adogon and Alhaji Fatai? That is another story for another day. But we know that 2 bodies is still being kept as well somewhere. Maybe next year, maybe 2 years, they might say that we are doing mass burial, but not understanding that these were part of the 2 people that were murdered in the house of the resident home of Chief Dr. Sunday Adeyemo Igboho. So this is still ongoing, and we would like to know who is in that list.
Well, listeners, Starr Radio UK, interesting, because I've got lots of questions there, and I know Lagosians or Nigerians as a whole have got questions to that effect. Now, were post-mortem done on these people? What was the cause of death? Because you cannot just tell me that during that period, I don't know how the Lekki Tollgate demonstration took place. Was it up to a month?
Well, it was literally, just close to about a month.
Yeah. Are they trying to justify that in a month, 103 people died? I mean, what caused their death? Was somebody there poisoning them? Was somebody there shooting them? What have they come up with any explanation to say that this is what caused their deaths? And have they investigated that as well?
Well, let's take you back to Ibadan. During and after the whole incident, for 2 years, a woman actually gave birth in the prison. She was part of those that were out there during the protests in Ibadan until there was pressure and they leaked information that somebody was pregnant and she was kept in the prison, and she was part of those that protested during the one in Ibadan. So it is not new that the government of Babajide Sanwo-Olu was definitely hiding something from the Lagosians and Nigerians and international community. Remember that it was actually interviewed on the International Global News Network, CNN, and he came out and said no one died during that EndSARS. But today, 103 people are about to be given mass burial. Without that name, and no other thing more than the fact that it was not even the Lagos State government that told us. It was a leaked memo from an whistleblower.
I remember that statement very well, because I remember he saying that nobody died during the Lekki Tollgate. We were talking about the fact that there were some soldiers or some people who went around shooting at people, and they were saying, no, nobody died. So where did these 103 people come from? Where did they come from? And have their families been informed?
Well, since that we were not told in the first place, I'm not sure any family knew that they were held, their bodies of their loved ones in the morgue for 3 years. I mean, you would think that, the reason why they have kept them, for that long is because, again, something of such like this would eventually be exposed. For those that do not understand the background to this, Amnesty International has been monitoring development across Nigeria since the EndSARS protest that actually began on the 8th of October 2020. In the October 2020, an on-ground investigation by the Amnesty International confirmed that Nigerian security forces opened fire on thousands of protesters who were peacefully calling for good governance and the end to police brutality, killing at least 12 protesters at the Lekki Tollgate. And in Alawusa, Amnesty International was able to establish that the pro-government supporter instigated the violence, and many of the demonstrations providing cover for the police to use the lethal force against them. But on the 16th of November, a judicial panel of inquiry that was set up to investigate the Lekki Tollgate killings submitted its report, which indicted the military and the police for killing unarmed protesters who were sitting on the floor and waving the Nigerian flags and singing. So it seems that the Nigerian flag is no longer as important as some of us might have think about it, but definitely what we can say is that Nigerians that were singing the Nigerian anthem became part of those killed. Just as we have said so many times, who actually is a Nigerian and what is the purpose of a citizen that doesn't have respect outside the country and those inside the country? They were not armed, as we have seen Asari Dokubo coming out, as we say publicly, with the AK-49 instigating that the Igbos or those Biafrans would have been sold more, if not for where we are today. And yet, in Nigeria, the question is, why were 103 people kept in the morgue? Definitely somebody was also making money out of that, because for every single person in that morgue,
of course,
the owner of the morgue was making money as well. So again, as Fela would say, party government is something that was going on between Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the morgue owner, and some insider that wanted to keep this away from the public, until a leaked memo came out to the surface, and the government of Babajide Sanwo-Olu say, yes, people were picked up during the NSAS, but these are not the people that we thought died during the confrontation of the military and the protester.
Listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. When you listen to some of these stories, it makes your heart bleed. But, well, now let me ask you another question there. The report, the NSAS report, the inquiry, the report that came, the white paper and everything that was written, what has become of it? What has he said about it?
Well, I would just say it is just the same thing. The 2014 confab is still sitting in the dust somewhere at the presidential villa. The inquiries that have been going on to the death of Dele Giwa in 1980 is nowhere to be found. Even the Chief Justice of Nigeria under the former President Obasanjo, that is speaking, that we're going to talk about, that says that Nigeria has failed Africa. Maybe Obasanjo should tell us who actually killed Bola Ige. Maybe there was an inquiry, and that inquiry has given an answer. I don't know. But what we know is Obasanjo has been speaking again that Nigeria has failed Africa. The family of Fela Anikulapo Kuti will still want to know the unknown soldier that visited Kalakuta and end up killing the loved ones of Fela Anikulapo Kuti. Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho would like to know who was really behind the attack of his home, just like Nnamdi Kanu would like to know in 2017, while his own were attacked and over 20 people were killed. The El Zakizaki would like to know why the former chief of army staff, a new ambassador to Benin Republic, or probably an old one, is still in power, is still in government, when his motorcade went out and rampaged and killed those that were making their possession in Zaria, as we mentioned yesterday. More inquiries, but there's never an outcome to any inquiries in Nigeria.
Well, listeners, so do you believe in the democracy that is being practiced there? Or is it a law, one law for those who are ruling and another law for those beneath them? Is that what is happening? And if people say that they feel they are being marginalized and therefore they want out, then you want to hold them, what is the point? Let us hear from you what you think about all that. Starr Radio UK, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios. Well, now the former President Olusegun Obasanjo yesterday in a damning verdict said Nigeria has failed the African continent in particular and the world in general. Obasanjo stated this in Abuja while giving the keynote address at the public presentation of the book titled Reclaiming the Jewel of Africa, written by the former Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, who also served as a Minister of Finance, Olusegun Aganga. Now, President Bola Tinubu, represented by his special advisor on monetary policy, Oluwale Edun, unveiled the book with past and present senior government officials in attendance. In his remarks, which were presented virtually, Obasanjo said more Nigerians are being plunged into poverty due to good policies poorly implemented bad ones and absence of policies. Although no name was mentioned, Obasanjo's comment is coming to the heels, on the heels, my apologies, of hardship occasioned by fuel subsidy removal by President Tinubu, a decision described in some quarters as a good move taken without proper consultation. Yomi, do you think you agree with Obasanjo? I know that you did comment. So it's a Nigeria as well.
When we talk about the former president, he has a lot that he will always say, but the question is, who should we blame? I remember, during the COVID, and Obasanjo had an engagement with some Nigerians on the Zoom, and he actually said that if you think that all these old people will go, they're not going anywhere. You just have to. I can't remember the actual phrase he used, but he went on to say that you just have to push them away, not violently, but in your masses. How that is going to happen? Nigerians voted, but it seems that their vote has not gone in accordance to them, and that is why we're still having the election petition tribunal that is going on. But you're quite right. Nigerians' many failures weaken the global role. Let's go back to the United Arab Emirates, where many Nigerians are living, but in the last 2 years, the Arab country have refused to respect the Nigerians that are living there when it comes to allowing them to live there in terms of, according to their immigration rules. They've actually removed Nigerians as part of those that will live there. Let's go to Turkey. Many Nigerians are complaining, that they are not given the right opportunity. And the question then is, how do we manage the Nigerian policy and the leadership and poor administration, the insecurity, policy discontinue by various administrations? These are what Obasanjo is saying. Poor leadership, insecurity have really affect the undermined Nigerian role in the global affair. Will this new government be able to do a change to such? We will have to wait and see. But Obasanjo said Nigeria was only a potential jewel of Africa that needed to make effort to attain that position, as it has failed to live up to his expectation over the last 63 years. And this has been the argument of people like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that we should go back onto the round table and decide whether the 250 ethnic groups really want to be part together. And just as Professor Adebanji Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba Self-Determination Group, have said, that the Nigerians or the Yorubas in Nigeria are actually living as slaves.
I can't agree with you much there, because if you look at everything that is happening, but there's one bit that he spoke about that I want to check your mind on it. That is policy discontinuation. So there's a good policy that maybe a government, let's say the PDP, introduced. Now the moment they are out of power and APC comes in, they take it and just chuck it. So let's say there's a situation that we talked about in Kano, where the new governor there has decided to be demolishing houses, and I was asking, is it
continue the policy of the previous governor?
Yeah, so because it's not their money, it's not from their pockets, they don't see it that way. So you, the poor person who is working, and they are drenching you or taking your own money, they start something, and this one comes, we won't do that one again, take it, chuck it, and then we go back. So it keeps on piling the debts of the nation, and we are not getting value for money. Do you think, the leaders, the new leaders in town, are they going to be hearkening to that at all? Or they think that, this is an old man who has spent his time, he didn't do anything, let's forget about him? Yomi?
Policy is what makes governance to work, and the longer that you are changing policy, that gives investors more concern. Let's go back to the democracy of 2 decades ago, when Obasanjo took the affairs in 1999. There was a lot of things he tried to put in place. He was also almost changing the policy by changing the terms of his leadership. He wanted to. He tried, but he failed. He wanted to move it from 2 terms to 3 terms. So maybe that would have been in the favor of anybody coming to run for 3 terms, but Obasanjo failed on that. But some might say that Obasanjo paid off our debt. And it seems that what then happened when the new government of Yar'Adua came, Yar'Adua died along the line. some of his policy were changed, even though Jonathan was the vice of Yar'Adua. Jonathan came in, and the expectation was Jonathan would continue with the policy of Obasanjo. Jonathan wanted to try something different. He wanted to invest in the northern part for the Almajiris because he believed that education is the key. Jonathan's government was also as corrupt but frustrated by those behind the scene. He removed the subsidy. That led to protests in 2012. Jonathan thought, for the sake of peace, he reversed that. Buhari came. Buhari wanted to hold on to the Ministry of Petroleum, or the Minister of Petroleum. You would thought that maybe that would be a better opportunity for someone of his caliber. Buhari left with huge amount of corruption on his name. And today, the next government says it will be a renewed change. But it seems that Nigeria is saying that this renewed change is already having an impact. Some say it is too early to call, as Bola Tinubu will only be 60 days in government in the next 4 days. So making policy to be able to be surviving also means that the security situation in the country, Nigeria still remain under the first 6 when it comes to the global terrorism index. And that literally means that investors will be scared to put in their investment in a situation where security is not there. So 63 years, what went wrong? Is it due to the military coup that left Nigeria backwards, or is it those same military? Because I look back at Kwara State. The former governor of Kwara State in 1999 was also a military administrator in 1987. So we have the same set of people just rotating, but that did not give any much. When he died in 2006, 2 years down the line, 2.5 million was found in one of an account linked to him in Cayman Island. Cayman Island is less than 96,000 people, but in Kwara, where it was governed, that the money would have been able to provide services. They are still living in abject poverty as we speak today. So part of the problem is definitely, yes, the continuity has never been there. Most of these politicians would never want to continue the project that the previous one wants to finish, because starting their new project put that on their name.
Wow, listeners, when will all this end? It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South studios, and with you there listening to us as well. Anthony Adedeji, lots of heart to you as well. We love you too, Beth, and thumbs up to you there as well. Okay, now let's come to one other story that is making the rounds, and that pertains to Boko Haram, 4 Boko Haram suspect who have been arrested for plotting to attack Atiko's residence. Now, what is the story behind this particular breaking news?
Well, the news filtered out yesterday, because I picked up as well on the social media, but it has now been confirmed as well from the mainstream media. Boko Haram suspect arrested in a plot to attack Atiko's residence and other facilities in Yola. The suspect will still unclear motives have now been transferred to a military custody yesterday, the opposition leader's office have said. What could be the reason behind that? We know that Atiku Abubakar was the presidential candidate of the PDP in the just concluded 25th of February presidential election. Does that have anything to link with that? As many Nigerians are preparing that maybe, just maybe, there might be a rerun. Could that mean that a rerun has got to do with this? We don't have any much details, but what I can confirm, according to the news coming out of Nigeria this morning, the 25th of July 2023, at about 9:44 p.m., that's just about 2200 hours yesterday, on Sunday, July 23rd, a man seeking to confirm the resident of His Excellency Atiku Abubakar in Yola was apprehended at the gate of the residence. The man who was apprehended by the security operatives at the residence of Atiku Abubakar was later handed over to the police. Upon further interrogation by the police, the suspect identified himself as a 29-year-old Jubrila Muhammad, confessed to be a Boko Haram member from Dambo in Borno State. The suspect also informed the police that he and his colleagues were later arrested too intended to attack organizations linked to Atiku Abubakar and some other sensitive locations in Yola. All the first suspects now have been handed over to the military authority. The question again is, the insecurity in the country is becoming quite alarming, even though new faces have been brought in, but there is still less to protect Nigerians.
Wow. So why Atiku Abubakar? Why are they targeting him? Because they're targeting him and infrastructure that belongs to him. So is it because they are in sympathy with the APC or the Northern Caucus?
Well,
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to
have any information to link to such. So we got to be very careful. But what we can say is that Atiku himself is a well-known figure. He's still fighting to believe that the election that was concluded was rigged and Bola Tinubu did not win it. In as much as he was the second in the position, Peter Obi is also saying that there's not enough evidence, especially that Tinubu never won the 25% from Abuja. But the question is, who could be behind this? We know that there's a lot of fraction, even within the Atiku camp. We have the 5G governors that is now also hoping that they might have a leeway, especially Wike, the Rivers State governor, in the cabinet of Bola Tinubu, but no evidence has been pointed out to whether a political party is behind this. But we can only put it under the insecurity in the country, and Atiku as a public figure will always be a target, just as the masses as well in the southeast, in the middle belt, in the Benue are also a target. 3 women are now about to be sold off if ransom are not paid to another set of terrorists as well, because at the end of the day, what has actually happened is because they are not able to fund or have what it takes to put for the ransom, and that means the terrorists are saying we will sell it all. So whether you are rich or poor, or you are able to get whatever you need, that literally means that there is danger in the country, and the danger continues.
Wow, listeners, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. As we did say, we've got our lecture producers in the house. Yes, that's how we do it during holidays. They are there with us, saying to all the necessary technical work there. So just bear with us. We have one of my little ones there. Okay, now let's come to some other story that is making the rounds. That is pertaining to Nigeria losing 2.5 billion yearly due to gas flaring. Now my question is, now Nigeria shouldn't be in a position where we are saying there's a problem when we come to energy. It shouldn't be there at all, because the gas alone could power what transformers and stuff like that, generators, to actually give power to Nigerians, but we don't see that. So how is Nigeria losing this amount of money yearly? And what is the government saying to do to actually stop that wastage? Yomi.
Well, wastage as seems to be nothing to Nigeria. When it comes to wastage, we have always been a wasteful because when we thought we had enough, we were actually overspending in the wrong direction. When it comes to gas, we have enough of it. When it comes to crude oil, we have good abundance of it. But the new speaker in the Ninth Senate of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, that has inaugurated another ad hoc committee to investigate the alleged $9 billion revenue loss from gas flaring in the last decade in Nigeria. That was about 10 years ago. Well, it's always good to start with the committee investigation. Definitely, it's going to cost money to do any investigation as well. But the question is, what will be the outcome, even if we end up finding just what took place? This inauguration committee on the gas flaring on Monday, Mr. Abbas have now charged the committee to really get through the root causes of gas flaring and make recommendations to end the menace. Again, all these are rhetorics that have taken place in the political terrain of Nigeria in the last 2 decades. So even if he's talking about the last decade, I would say in the 24 years of the new democracy that is being practiced, accountability and lack of transparency has occurred from the state level to the federal to the local government. What are we expecting these task force to do is a critical one that lies at the heart of the health of poor people and economic well-being of our nation, according to the Speaker. You have been charged with the responsibility of investigating what has one of the most harmful practices in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria. He actually stressed that gas flaring and venting has been a significant environmental, economic, health, and social concern in the country. Let's take you back a little bit to Ken Saro-Wiwa. Ken Saro-Wiwa was an environmental activist that was killed by the late Sani Abacha. Until date, there's nothing done to that community. He was actually murdered or hanged to death on the 10th of November 1995, where he died in Port Harcourt. What was the reason for the death? Ken Saro-Wiwa was a member of the Ogoni people, again another ethnic minority in Nigeria, just as we have about 250 different ethnic groups, and the British expect every one of us to work together and survive and live. But the question is, who owns the gas? Who is making money out of it? Will this investigation be able to give us a final conclusion? We would have to wait after such committee have come back with their recommendation. Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'll come back again to you in the studio. If you take me out just for about 30 seconds, I'll come back.
Okay, listeners, just bear with us. Now, Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. But we are looking at another story which I will let Yomi come to throw more light on, and that pertains to Emefiele's case. And let me read what I've got here. And it says the embattled CBN boss has arrived at the court premises around. He arrived at the court premises around 9:20 a.m. for his alleged gun possession trial. He is to stand trial on 2 counts of possessing a single-barrel shotgun without a license. Now, the second count is that the service charged him with illegally possessing 23 rounds of live ammunition cartridges without a license. But does that actually mean that the whole DSS stops at whatever he's doing to go and apprehend him, put him behind bars? And what about those terrorists, those who are doing all sorts in the jungle? I mean, the Boko Haram and all those people. I mean, what have they done about them? The herdsmen who are carrying guns, do they have a license doing all those things? But let me go to Yomi, who is seated again, and let's find out more about that. Now, Yomi, have you heard Emefiele is in court? But the counts, the charges against him is one that makes me laugh. Yomi.
When you talk about Emefiele, is either Nigerians have a different name for him, which I don't want to mention on the air, because Emefiele is a name that will be remembered for coloring the Nigerian currency. That is just, part of that. But we do know that Emefiele was going under the, instruction of President Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But it seems that Bola Tinubu is upset, or maybe should we say, is just doing the due diligence. That intelligent report was that Emefiele was also part of those that wanted to sabotage Nigeria, either through, his policy or through the information that is now coming according to the federal government or the DSS. Yes, we talked about that. Emefiele will be appearing in the court today, and you're quite right. Just about 11:45 this morning, we're running the same time. I could see. Let's see if the engineer will give us the first picture ever since Emefiele has been arrested. Brought back from Lagos. I think he had a good trip. I mean, I remember those that were removed from Dr. Tiftonde Igboho's house. They had to drive them all the way from Ibadan to Abuja. Emefiele actually went back with a private jet. So at least he had a good trip back to Abuja, which was less than an hour, which the other ones did not. Maybe because he's a strong man in the position of a former CBN governor. So that is the first image that we will get an adjustment of that so that we can get the actual face of Emefiele there, when it comes to Emefiele. Emefiele is now appearing in the court, and right there is Emefiele in that very creamy, well-looking, at least I believe he's been well taken care of. But what will be the charges? Finally, the DSS brought Emefiele to court. Mr. Emefiele was brought to the court at about 9:21 a.m., so that means some few hours back, by the Office of the State Security Services. The suspended governor of the Central Bank was brought to the Federal High Court, Ikoyi in Lagos, so that means they have to bring it back again to Lagos from Abuja. He was brought into the court premises by the officer. He's being charged with illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. That is a new one that I'm hearing. He will appear before Nicholas Owobi. Guess what? A vacation judge. Maybe the judge will be operating from Jamaica or any other countries that the judge is going to be. But again, that is all we can tell you. We will have to wait for more details since the judge is on vacation. So it's just like bringing somebody to court, knowing fully well that maybe they are not aware. Maybe they will probably not aware that the judge is on holiday, or maybe it's just part of the game, because Nigeria is full of different scenarios on a daily basis.
Well, we'll see what happens one day to the DSS boss and what all his shots that he's calling. Well, it is Starr Radio UK. It is 11:46. We'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds this morning.
Nigerian authority failed to arrest Asari Dokubo but charge Emefiele with possession of firearms. Well, Asari Dokubo said, I am also working for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that means that I shouldn't be arrested, if I'm wielding AK-49 on the social media. Subsidy pain, the labor talk stop. ASU protesters condemn relief plan. We've been talking about these. Pregnant women and children among Ondo tanker fire. I've seen those images. They're very, very sad, and it is still part of the poverty level that is making our people back in Nigeria to try to scoop a tanker. I mean, I'm not sure what they are thinking, that the tanker that has tripped over, the heat in Nigeria would also ignite fire, but we pray for those that have died. Supervisor, invigilators are selling wire question online, are arrested, are now on trial. Remember I told you that when I was doing my own school start in 1995, while we are sitting getting ready for the first paper, some are coming late because they are waiting for the expo, which will give them a better chance ahead. And this is still happening. The Forex crisis, the passenger grooming of the airline. I have a family friend that arrived in the UK with his family. They're on holiday. And when I got a call this morning that they arrived, my cousin that was telling me actually said that the ticket that they bought were probably paid for in January. That will be a different Forex exchange. Even though it cost them about almost 2 million naira, that is quite a lot of money for many Nigerians that can't afford it, but he can afford it and is here on holiday. But it seems that travelers are now expressing their disappointment and frustration as airlines continue to skyrocket, making it increasingly difficult for individuals to embark on their desired trips. The rising cost, coupled with economic uncertainty, have left many passengers in a state of dismay. About 2 weeks after President Tinubu promised to unify the nation's multi-exchange rate, the Apex Bank decided to float the naira at what we call the investor and the exporter window of the foreign exchange market. Since then, the naira had fallen from 471 naira to $1 to 867 naira as of today. So the dollar is pushing towards 900, while the pounds today is actually pushing towards 1,100. And so many diaspora are becoming concerned because sending money home is not buying what is needed for their loved ones. We go straight to the social media because of the time constraint so far. It is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It seems that the Enugu State Governor is not pleased with the sit at home and actually told those sitting at home that their shops would be sealed. Also, the government in exile of the Biafra have come back to say that everyone that their shop were sealed should go and open it, and they're also going to be monitoring things on the ground. There's tension in Enugu State. So let's go straight and say what is trending. Obasanjo is trending at 14,000 tweets. Also, Godwin Emefiele, as we said, is also trending. I'm not sure what Emefiele had in his hand. I could see Eric. Maybe it's a power bank that he was using in the prison, or maybe it's just a book. Let's go to Wura_Yorubanimi. Culture, identity, the Yoruba, and it's just on the video where the Arab says, I prefer to put on my own outfit as putting on any other English outfit. So let's look at more that is trending. Morakio_Larry, Nigeria is now an envelope in poverty. People have been widely impoverished. People are dying in silence. It is very hard time. People are dying. It is getting to the extreme. Nigeria is going down because it has been ruined. Nigeria's sickness is becoming worsened. And the last one, before we come back again to you in the studio, is coming from the Prime Minister, government in exile of the Biafra, Simon Ekpa. Those ranting on the social media of how they will attack Simon Ekpa in Finland. I hope you are getting the message. I don't rant on social media, but that little money they paid you to buy BM that made you to rant and insult a man you know nothing about. I have started, and you know I have started, and you no longer make live videos. You have now started running. How are you enjoying the blood car today when you don't know who passed you? That is the result. And it seems that those that are giving 2,000 naira by even Omoye Olishore confirming that Nigerians are paid 2,000 naira to come on the social media and disrespect those either fighting for the right cause or those asking for the right cause, because both sides has their own argument. Some want a better Nigeria, while some say a better Nigeria is not going to survive. Let us have a new roundtable discussion and decide the way forward. This is Star Radio UK. I come back now to you in the studio at just about 12 o'clock, as we have done justice to the update again this morning.
Yes, let me say thank you very much to Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Now, tomorrow, God willing, we'll be back to bring you more on what is happening in Nigeria. That is updates from Nigeria with Mr. Olayomi Koiki. But Yomi, before you go.
Well, Archie takes us through what is happening here back in Ghana. I was listening to you. What is happening in Kenya, South Africa, and the rest of the global world as well. But for now, I will say very good afternoon or good morning from those listening to us on the network this morning. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, listeners, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. It is Star Radio UK, 8 minutes to the top of the hour. Let's take a commercial break. I'll bring you some lovely tune, and then we will continue with the show. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Okay, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's enjoy something from the Root Riders, and it's a small axe. We here, we just a small axe. We'll be chopping you if you are not doing the right thing.
This is Starr Radio UK.
So if you want a victory, let me tell you that we are the small axe, ready to cut you down. Well, sharpen to cut you down. One more time.
Archie on Starr Radio. Nobody does it better.
Shall bury it, so if you want a victory, let me tell you that we are the small axe, ready to cut you down. Well, sharpen to cut you down. One time again, if you want a victory, we are the small axe, sharp and ready to cut you down. Well, sharp and to cut you down.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go from Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Okay, welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK. My apologies for that. There was someone trying to just get someone is under my skin. Okay. So now let's move on to some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world. You want to call in, feel free to do so. It's 0208133257 or 580208133257 or 58. You can text or WhatsApp as 075396617440 0753966174. Our text, our US number. US, Canada, and the Caribbean number is 0017183032737 0017183032737. So get in touch with us. Let us know what you think about the various issues that is being discussed. And thank you very much to as many of you who have been staying on to listen to us and enjoy the program that we are bringing your way. So now let's move on straight to some of the other stories making the rounds elsewhere. Yes. This time round in Ghana, on the African continent, yes, before we move on to other parts. Well, but what do you think about what we discussed so far when it comes to Niger? Now, US sanctions 3 million canals for their aid to the Wagner Group. Okay. Well, we know that because the Wagner Group is linked with Russia, so there is that affiliation there, and therefore the US will sanction them. But they say the US is sanctioning them. We'll be telling you more about that. We know that already the Malians are of the view that, look, we are doing our own thing, you cannot protect us, we want to go on, and therefore the Western countries who had got troops there have pulled out all their troops there. So let's see what is going to happen on that front. And the Somalia, at least 20 soldiers killed in a suicide attack there as well. But let me bring you this and let's move on. The United States announced on Monday economic sanctions targeting 3 million soldiers, including the current Minister of Defense, for having facilitated the deployment and expansion of the activities in Mali of the Russian paramilitary group, the Wagner. Now, these sanctions target 3 officers of the Malian army, Colonel Sadio Kamara, Minister of Defense, who also holds French nationality, as well as Colonel Alou Boy Diarra and Lieutenant Colonel Adama Bagayoko, both officials in the Air Force. Now, Washington reports evidence showing that these Malian officials contributed to the malicious activities of the Wagner Group in Mali in a statement from the U.S. Treasury. Now, today's actions exposes key Malian officials who have helped facilitate the Wagner Group's entrenchment in Mali over the past 2 years under the Secretary of the Treasury for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, Brian Nelson, was quoted in the statement as saying, now these officials have made their people vulnerable to the Wagner Group's destabilizing activities and human rights abuses while paving the way for the exploitation of their country's sovereign resources to benefit the Wagner Group operation in Ukraine. Okay, now if you talk about that, they're doing that to facilitate financial support for the Russians to undertake the war in Ukraine. Then I'm looking at it in a different ball game. But when we had the Western countries reps, that is the soldiers and all those there, they were not seen to fighting or combating the insurgency and the terrorism that was going on in the Sahel area. So therefore, now when the military took over, they think that the best way forward for them was to actually get themselves some mercenaries who they think will be able to help them combat the menace that was going on there. However, we see it now that it looks like whatever is going on, the US thinks that, well, the arrival of the mercenary group, that's the Wagner group in that place, actually has is exploiting the resources of their country. But the Western countries were doing the same there as well. It's like when you take a typical example of a DRC. Now, which countries are flying in and out of the place, taking all the resources and still impoverishing the people and causing wars various wars to go on, so that they can take advantage of the particular thing that is going on there? It's quite worrying. It's quite worrying. Much as I don't like mercenaries in my backyard, and actually we just actually giving to them on a plate, saying that these are resources, you take, they just protect us, and they taking whatever and taking the whatever, and then we are also going on. And we know that because Wagner is linked with the Russian authorities, so whatever money that they are making also going in there to the Russian operation in a war in Ukraine, then that, but you look at all of them, and all that they are doing is exploiting Africans, exploiting the third world countries. But what do you think about all that? It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. 8 minutes by the top of the hour at a time. But well, the US have placed sanctions on 3 million canals, and would that stop whatever they are doing? And it's like you place sanction on us. So, okay, an Islamic suicide bomber blew himself up inside a Somali army camp in Mogadishu on Monday and killed at least 20 soldiers, officials and witnesses have said. The attack, which occurred at the Jali Siyad military academy, was claimed by the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab. Now, more than 20 people died in the explosion. Mohammed Ibrahim Malimo, a member of the Somali parliament, said. The victims are soldiers who were defending their country against terrorists. He added, another parliamentarian who asked to remain anonymous reported 27 dead and around 60 injured. The suicide bomber managed to enter the base where the 14th Infantry Brigade was about to begin a refresher course and detonated its explosive vest. Witnesses said, I was in a nearby military camp when the explosion happened. We rushed to the scene. It was horrible, said Mohammed Hassan, a member of the Somali army. The investigation is still ongoing and the death toll could be higher than announced. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. You see them sitting on the boots of pickup trucks and the buckets of the pickup trucks, and I mean exposed. They are not putting on helmets or anything of the sort. So you ask yourself the question: how prepared are people, our soldiers, when they say that they want to fight insurgency and all that stuff? Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now let's move on to other parts of Africa as well. Look at some of the stories making the rounds there. In Ghana, the Ghana Education Service has taken immediate action following the emergence of a disturbing video showing an act of violence involving 2 students of Adisadel College. The video has been circulating on social media, has sparked outrage and raised concerns about the safety of students within the country's educational institution. According to a statement signed by the head of the Public Relations Unit, Cassandra Chum Ampofo, GES is deeply concerned and strongly condemns the barbaric act by their culprits. Now, we applaud the school authorities for taking swift action to suspend the culprits pending further investigation, part of the release said. The GS views acts of violence in schools as utterly unacceptable and detrimental to the overall well-being of students. Thus, is resolute in its commitment in maintaining a safe and secure learning environment for all students across the nation. Meanwhile, in response to the incident, the school authorities have suspended the alleged perpetrator pending further investigation. Very sad at this college picture there was saying. And while the GS applauds the swift disciplinary measures, it has directed the regional director of education to collaborate closely with both the school authorities and the relevant law enforcement agency. This coordinated effort seeks to uncover the truth behind the incident and administer appropriate measures in line with the law. The service further reaffirmed its commitment to fostering an environment where every student can learn and grow without fear and fear, violence, or intimidation. Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, The alleged coup d'etat. A fifth accused convicted for contempt over recording proceedings. The fifth accused person in the ongoing trial of the case in which the remaining 9 persons are standing trial for plotting to overthrow government has been found guilty for contempt. This was after Colonel Godzo Gamele, who is facing a charge of abetment of high treason and has been seen recording court proceedings which he inadvertently played in open court to the hearing of the judges. The audio voice was proceeding of last Wednesday, July 19. The presiding judge, Justice Efiase Asare-Bochwe, whose voice was heard on the sound, asked the court warrant officers to inquire, and it was discovered that the accused was also recording today's proceedings. Asked by the panel of the 3, which also include Justice Hafisata Ameleboba and Justice Stephen Opong, all justices of the Court of Appeal, while he was recording the proceedings, Colonel Gamele said he was recording it because his lawyer was absent. Now, as again, if it was the first time his lawyer had been absent from court, he responded in the negative. He also said he had no reason why he didn't record the previous proceedings when his lawyer had been absent. Now, lawyer Victor Kojoga Dawudu, who was holding brief for Eric Pongo, counsel for Colonel Gamele, prayed the court to allow the accused purge himself from contempt. By purging himself, counsel said he should be allowed to delete all the recordings from his phone and be allowed to go home. It was a case of Mr. Dawudu that since the case started, the fifth accused had not shown any conduct of disrespect to the court up until this incident. The panel of 3 presided over by Justice Efiase Asare-Bochwe with Justice Hafisata Ameleboba and Justice Stephen Opong said they feel unsafe with the development. Really? While pointing to the recent remembrance of 3 judges on Matthias Day who were killed in their lines of duties, Justice Asare-Bochwe said, I personally feel unsafe and will report the matter to the Chief Justice. You people should recognize that we are human beings. Just last month, we remember the 3 judges who were killed on Matthias Day, and we have children, husbands, and wives, Justice Asare-Bochwe expressed. According to Justice Asare-Bochwe, a panel has tried everything possible to ease the tension surrounding the case, and therefore practices like an accused person recording judges is untenable. Now, personally, this is obvious contempt, and we don't think he should be made go home until after this case is over, Justice Asare-Bochwe indicated. But, well, if you are doing your work judiciously, what do you worry? So, if we talk about unanimous 7 or the Supreme Court cases, the main cases that have gone on, and the various things, and well, we see that the justices are compromised in a way. And this person thinks that, well, my lawyer is not in, so in order not to quote or misquote or so anything, I'm recording that. And you think that is, I mean, what are you doing that is wrong there? If he is in the wrong and you are trying to justify that he is in the wrong or listening to him and whatever, why do you say you are scared for your life? Because after all, it's not that you are there with the accused people only. You are there with other representatives of the public or their own family members. And therefore, if you are saying something that is untoward, they will hear it. And therefore, if they want to do anything, they can do it. So I don't get it. I think they need to come again with this explanation that they're trying to use to hold this man. This kind of, but well, in Africa, everything is possible, isn't it? It is all coming your way from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time now to 16 minutes past the top of the hour. It is the Tuesday edition of the morning show. Now, one other story, and then we'll leave Ghana and come to other parts of the world, but it's all unraveling there. A lawyer Maurice Ampao has lambasted critics of Cecilia Dapa, the former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, over the monies amounting to $1 million, 300,000 euros, and 350,000 Ghana cedis allegedly stolen from her private residence. Now, according to Ampao, those attacking the former minister are hypocrites, arguing that many Ghanaians themselves possess significant sums of money concealed in their homes. Now, today, if you ask for money from any Ghanaian, the person will tell you that that's a typo, they don't have money. But the kind of money that people are having in this country, though a lot of people are suffering, most of them have money. They are loaded. The hypocrisy of Ghanaians, you are all hypocrites. That's what he goes on to say. The monies that you people have, that you have kept in your various homes, but you people are condemning Cecilia Dapa as if she had committed a crime. If you like, let us start with every politician in this country. So, you know, that's the target. Our politicians have all got monies in their homes, various homes and various places and various accounts outside the country. Listen, I don't have a problem with people having money. Listen, my grandmother was a trader and she had lots of money, and she didn't take her money to the bank. They kept their money at home. Okay, that was then. My grandfather was the same. They had gold bars. They had all those monies. That's my maternal grand, and they kept it all at home or places that they think is safe for them. Now, advancement in technology, modern times, and so now we said that people have to have accounts. Now, why didn't she put that money in her account? Is it because it will be questioned how she came by those monies? Are you getting it? So if now the politicians become a target of thieves or armed robbers, will you blame them? Because they know that, so you guys have got some monies in your homes. Well, it's a very sad situation that has happened there. Now, if she legally acquired those monies, fine. But if it's from brown envelopes and back cakes and all that stuff that had gone on, then they need to come again. That means that our politicians are actually absolutely corrupted there. But what do you think? It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. None of them give me money. None of them are the ones who feed me. So I can say whatever I want to say. Right? Yes. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now moving on straight to some other stories making the rounds this morning. And a Palestinian gunman killed near West Bank Samaritan community. 3 Palestinians have been shot dead after opening fire on Israeli soldiers. Nablus in the occupied West Bank. Israeli military has said the troops were guarding the Samaritans, a tiny community which traces its origins back to biblical Israelite tribes. A security camera footage shows a figure shooting at soldiers who returned fire before a 2-minute gun battle. It comes amid swirling Israeli-Palestinian tensions in the West Bank. Since that start of the year, more than 160 Palestinians, militants and civilians have been killed by Israeli forces or settlers in the West Bank, East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip. On the Israeli side are at least 30 people, including 2 foreigners and a Palestinian worker, have been killed in attacks or apparent attacks by Palestinians. All were civilians except one off-duty service soldier and a member of the Israeli security forces. Well, this is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Those are some of the stories that just came through. But well, so in the Middle East, now Israeli police has clashed with crowds of protesters at night after Parliament adopted a highly controversial law to limit the Supreme Court's powers. Now, if the Supreme Court's powers are limited, that is the end for the people. That is the end. Now, the measure, part of a big reform package, will prevent the court from overruling government actions it considers unreasonable. Now, police in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv use water cannon to disperse protesters blocking highways. Now, critics say the hard-right government reforms threatens Israeli democracy. Now, after months of mass street protests over the judicial reforms Monday, the next parliament vote was an important victory for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But the battle is not over. It may go on for months. A political watchdog group and centrist opposition leader Yair Lapid plan to petition the Supreme Court to annul the new law. Moreover, Israel's historic trade union confederation has threatened a general strike, and thousands of military reservists, including Air Force pilots, have vowed not to report for duty if the law is allowed to stand. And I think that is a good one on them, because looking at what is going to happen, so they sit in parliament, and because of political expediency or for their own selfish interests, they will just say, this is the law that we want to pass, and then they will lobby, and then they whip their parliamentarians in line, and they'll vote for them. Okay? And then they put everything in place, and then everybody has to adhere to it. But for what is happening now, the Supreme Court was the only apex court, that's the apex court, that can stop or say that, no, what you are doing is not right. You cannot go on with that if somebody petitions them. So, what is going to happen there? Well. Netanyahu. Well. It is all coming away from Starr Radio, okay? 12:23 the time. We're going to be running up pretty soon. Now, let's come to some other stories. Now, hundreds are riding the UK as roads wildfire spreads. Now, Britons have been flying in from these places. Now, hundreds of holiday makers are arriving back in the UK on repatriation flights from roads as wildfire continue to grip the Greek island. Up to 10,000 Britons are believed to be staying on the island, with flights home continuing throughout the week. Now, EasyJet too have cancelled. EasyJet and Chew have cancelled outbound package holidays roads until Saturday and Friday respectively. And the tourists had to flee hotels and sleep outside as fires spread towards resorts in the eastern coast. The fires have destroyed local homes and businesses in some areas. Now, Greece has seen temperatures exceeding 40 degrees in recent weeks, with fires burning for nearly a week. In some areas, at least 19,000 people have been evacuated so far from Rhodes. Now, elsewhere, around 2,500 people were evacuated from Corfu, some 1,027 kilometers or 070 miles away. A fire department spokesperson has also said there have been reports some fires may have been started by arsonists, but the extreme temperatures, dry conditions, and strong winds across Greece have aided their spread. The roads flare up overnight have caused the flames to spread to new areas there as well. But well, it's a sad situation there when things like that are happening, and you have arsonists also getting themselves involved in that as well. It's a bad one. Very bad. Well, if you are interested in buying a plot of land, a Cornish Hill near Helston has been listed for sale for £150,000. I think I'm interested in that, right? A historic site in Cornwall, known for being the birthplace of China clay industry, has been put up for sale. Now, Tregennan Hill near Helston is a scheduled monument with commanding views of the sea and countryside. It contains monuments dating back to the Iron Age and is the first location to be mined for China clay by a Plymouth chemist William Cockworthy in 1768. The 70-acre or 28-hectare site is listed for sale by estate agent Laycrab Shillout for $150,000. The estate agent said The property included Bronze Age burial mounds, the Iron Age hill fort of Castle Penneker, 2 defendant settlements or rounds, a well-preserved medieval field system, a quarry where Methodism founder John Wesley was believed to have preached, and a war memorial. Interesting there. The site, which reaches 636 feet above sea level, also contains 2 rare plants, lawn chamomile and western liverwort, which means part of the hill is designated a site of special scientific interest. Much of the site is access land and is crossed by public footpaths. As a scheduled monument, permission needs to be sought from Historic England to carry out work. Well, if you want to acquire that, make sure that you do that diligence before you go and buy, making sure that when you get it, you will not have your hopes dented by saying that, well, you know what, you've bought it but you cannot develop it. Can build a very nice hotel or something there, some resorts there, and the people can come in there to come and visit. What about that? Well. This is why I bring the program to a close for today. But as I did say, this afternoon we're going to be having BB Clement coming your way with BB Means Business. Exactly at 1:30. All right then. So stay tuned. Don't you go away. But it's been a pleasure coming your way once again. I'll see you all tomorrow. I'm going to bring you a tune from a JBR, and it says Made of a cover version of Kojo Entry's tune. But that will be after this commercial break. Stay tuned and don't you go away.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK. Turn it on. Turn it up.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening.
Hatuma kuma pa tiano, apo piani nitie.